probably the biggest separation between professional and collegiate is change of speed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so necessarily like the whole game itself. It's like if I'm coming off a screen, I'm going to be slow for a moment, then I'm going to speed up.
Mm-hmm.
And so recognizing when to do that for
Mm-hmm.
me has been the biggest challenge because I've been a pace. Like if
Mm-hmm.
I'm running a 2 mile, I'm going to pace myself and be at this same level.
Mm-hmm.
And to learn that I need to be here, and it's been a challenge. But that's the professional world, and that's what separates you as a player.
Work, it all speaks for itself. Grinding the sound, ain't nothing to tell. When we step on the court, we gon' bring it to light. And we stop and pop like we caught it a light. Stop asking what's wrong with me. You already know there's a dog in me. If there's no stopping my focus, man, make sure all my people gon' ball with me. Yeah, I came to compete, I'm a dog with it. Yeah, I came to compete with my paws in it.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Compete Mentality Podcast. I am your host, Courtney Delks, and I am joined today by one of my great friends, Chelsey Perry, and I can't wait for you guys to learn from her story and be inspired by her. Before we get going, I want to let you guys know that Jordan and I are having basketball shooting and mindset camps happening this summer. We're going to be having those at the barn here in Marion, as well as over in West Lafayette. You can go to our website, www.competetrainingacademy.org. Go get signed up. We have some early bird specials going on, so go get that worm. Early bird gets the worm. Go get it. And we are excited to bring that to you guys because I don't think there's any other camp in the country that's combining basketball and mindset, especially for younger kids, all the way through the high school level. So get your mind right, get your shot right, and let's get it after it. But without any further ado, let's get into today's show with Chelsey Perry. Chelsey, what's up? Thanks for making the drive up from Indianapolis on one of the coldest days of the year. I think it's like wind chill of like negative 20s outside today.
I've never been in weather that's been negative before. I'm from Tennessee, so I'm here in the sunny state of Indiana, right? It's cold in the Midwest, but I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Y'all are like family to me, so I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, well, we love you, Chelsey. Jordan and I both do, so just a little background on how we know Chelsey. So I got connected with Chelsey through Darby Maggard. So Chelsey played at UT Martin. Darby Maggard, for those of you guys who know, she was a great basketball player in the state of Indiana here, played at Belmont, played overseas, and she's now the head women's basketball coach at Huntington University. So you were coming up to Indy after college, and you came to one of our camps. We were doing it at Grace Church in Marion,
yes. And
you came up and saw Darby, hooked, and then we all got to connect. And you were at that camp, and I'll never forget you. Like, I knew then that I was like, man, this girl, she's different. Like, you're the way that your perspective of life and where you spend your time at. Like, you're going to spend time where it matters to you. Yeah. And so I so appreciated you coming up. So thank you for doing that. Shout out to Darby. And that's where we're going to start at, Chelsey. So in 2021, you had just graduated from UT Martin. Unfortunately, we were talking before, you didn't get it. You weren't at college during the NIL period.
Right.
So it was right after that the NIL came. But you got drafted by the Indiana Fever. Yeah. You came up to Indianapolis in 2021. And that is the journey that we're going to go on today in this podcast. So tell our listeners, you graduate from UT Martin. What did that year of getting drafted, you come, tell us what happened during that time.
Well, 2021, it felt like so long ago, but it was literally 3 years ago. Was drafted from a mid-major college, University of Tennessee at Martin, and from that experience, I was coming off a college season being the top leading scorer in the country, and I knew that this would be a hard challenge for me. Just coming from a mid-major, I needed to prove that I could play with high-caliber players and play alongside those players. So getting drafted, I didn't know where I was going. I had never talked to Indiana before draft night, and then when Tamika Catchings called me, one of the best experiences in my life still to this day. And coming to Indiana, it was new for me. I've never been in a city. Although they say that Indianapolis is a small city, it was huge to me. And so we were also coming out of COVID, and I just didn't have a community here. And thankfully, Darby was from here. And so I think God kind of aligned this for me to meet the family and to meet you guys.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So tell our listeners, so you get the call from Tamika Catchings that they're drafting, you're bringing you up for training camp. Okay, so a lot of people think just because, like, oh, you got drafted, you're going to be on the team.
Right.
That ain't how it is. Like, you got to go to training camp. You have to go there. You have to you have to earn a spot on the team.
Right.
And there are 12 spots. So talk about training. What was training camp like?
Well, you have about 19 to 20 people on the roster coming into training camp with only 12 making a team. So you can get drafted a first-round pick, second-round, third-round, and you still have to fight for your spot. No one's really safe. And so coming into training camp, I was like, I just need the opportunity, and I know that I can work. My work ethic can show for itself. And from there, I just was myself, and I was able to be coachable, and I learned from the vets that we had, like Danielle Robinson at the time in 2021, and was able to get the feedback that I needed. And I can't say that I didn't get pushed around because the girls were a lot stronger than me, and I enjoyed the experience and being able to prove that I can play in this league. I made the final roster, and maybe a couple days later I got waived, and it was unfortunate, but for me, I knew that my time wasn't done. Just from the feedback that I got from the coaches and from Tamika, I knew that I wasn't done. So I came back to train with Darby, who was at the time at UT Martin, and literally a month later I got called back. And being called back, I knew that this was my time to shine. And so I worked, and at the time we were going through Olympic break, and so we were just practicing. We wasn't in season, and practicing. I believe that I was at the best of my career in 2021. I was shooting the ball really well, and it was just clicking for me. And when everything is going well, it seems like it's always adversity that hits. And then a couple practices later, I tore my ACL. That was probably and has been one of the hardest journeys in my career, but it's also been one of the best experiences through that ACL tear. So
much I can pull out of this.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is you got to stay ready.
Yeah.
Stay ready.
Stay ready.
Stay ready, because you never know when you're going to get that call back.
Right.
What were some of the things that Catch and some of the coaching staff wanted you to work on? Like when you got cut, but you knew that there was still hope. Like, you know, what were you working on when you were back at UT Martin with Darb?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing, and I think this is for any player, is that you need to be versatile. And so for me, I was a strong 4, but I don't have the height to be in a professional career to just place only as a 4. So I needed to be able to stretch and play the 3. So who better to be with than Darby Maggard, who is a point guard?
Has a straight clip.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so being able to perfect my shooting range and be consistent in that, but also develop ball handling skills that I am yet growing, but I am more confident in today. I'm so thankful for Darby for just taking that leap of faith with me and working with me, and that was just the beginning. Just the beginning.
And so in a previous podcast I talked to you guys about, so before we even had the new barn built here at our place, we're big on mindset, and I would visualize, and I knew that there was going to be a WNBA player that was going to drive down our road, that was going to pull in and come train at the barn, at the new barn. And it was Chelsey. So you guys, I talked about it last podcast. It was Chelsey, and she came in, and just to tell you, those of you guys who have been at our barn, how good of a shooter Chelsey is. So we have our main basket that has the WNBA half court, has the lines down. There's a basket on the opposite side of that main goal, and Chelsey was standing underneath that basket, and you were just stroking the threes, like back where the logo is going to be at, you know, like, and 10 in a row. And I'll never forget coming in and telling Jordan, I was like, dude, like Chelsey can she can straight out just shoot the ball so well. And I didn't, like, I knew a little bit about you as a player, but I didn't know how good of a shooter you were. And that time in that barn, I was like, oh my gosh, she, like, just keep going.
Yeah.
I was almost say, like, because you made yourself, and it was that time of, okay, I got the feedback from the coaches, and I know what I need to go focus on. Were you always that good of a shooter? Like, did you have that in college, or you just weren't in an offensive flow maybe to showcase it?
Well, I just think I've always been a good shooter, and my dad from the jump taught me how to shoot and to always leave your follow through. That's something I hear in the crowd because he's always yelling that to leave your follow through hanging. And in high school, I never got that experience because I was more so playing my role as being a post player. And in college, Coach Kevin McMillan, who's our head coach, he told me the green light is on and you can shoot it. And for me to be able to play against anybody, I was very competitive. So the best shooter on our team at the time coming in as a freshman in college was Kendall Spray. And I wanted to be just as good as her. So I set myself with her. I shot with her. And so that just drove my consistency. And so I got better in college, and that kind of paved the way for me in my WNBA career.
Absolutely. So you get called back. You come back from UT Martin, and you tear your ACL. What has been, so during that time, like, hard time, right? I believe that was when we started doing some mindset training. Yes. And during that time, like, share with our audience, like, what has kept you going? What have you really had to double down on in terms of your mindset, your spirit, and, like, what have you done, like, to stay focused on, where you want to go? Because at that time, like, you could have very well said, like, giving up, like, throwing the towel, but you have not, and we've been witnesses of that. You have not done that one bit.
Yeah. Well, like you say, like, God gives you these little whispers, and I've seen so many people that have had the potential to have a professional career or a collegiate career that didn't pursue it. And so for me, I'm like, this is my dream, this is my goal, and I think God has aligned the path for me to keep trying to be in it. And God setting me up with y'all and you and Jordan, that kind of just gave me, like, this is where you're supposed to be. Indiana is where you're supposed to be. And through you guys, I have been more confident in my mentality of like, chase after your dream and to get those things that you want and desire, because God wants to see these good things happen. And from there, I've learned my value as more than a basketball player. But God has given me this gift. So it's for me to be a light. And going through this ACL journey, I've always seen teammates in college who've torn their ACL multiple times. And I just never wanted to deal with the knee injuries. And I thought I was immune to it, but I really wasn't. And it just set me up to be stronger in a lot of different areas that I didn't know, physically and mentally. To learn from Tamika Catching's experience. And I tore my ACL. She was like, well, look at me. She came in as a rookie with a torn ACL. And so that just gave me confidence that I can get through this. And I think it was in January when I talked to you, Courtney, and you asked me, what is my goal in this WNBA? And I said it was to be an all-star. And you gave me that confidence that I can be an all-star if I continue to work. But that adversity was just the beginning of what I had to experience and what I am experiencing now.
Yeah, and I told this, so since that day, your name in my phone is All-Star Chelsey. Yeah. Every time I see you, what's up, All-Star Chelsey? Because this is for, you have to be so clear on what you want.
Right.
Even if in the physical, we're not seeing it, but in your mental and the way you feel, the way you act, the way you approach every day. And I know that you Chelsey attacks every day as if she's a WNBA All-Star. Even though, like, you didn't get to play in the W this last year.
Yeah.
Even though you've been through injuries and you've been through all these things. Even though you're working a 9-to-5 job right now. And we're going to talk about that, okay? And I was just talking to Jordan last night. I said, dude, like, I have her as All-Star Chelsey on my phone. I've had it in there for years. And I said, what's happening next month in February? And you are working for
All-Star.
The All-Stars.
Yeah.
And you never know. You have to be so clear on the what. And we know what the what for you is WNBA All-Star.
Right.
But you also, like, once you put that out there, you never know how you're going to get responded with the how. You don't have to worry about the how. You got to be constantly feeling, acting, believing. And when our emotions and our feelings, all that just starts interconnecting, whoo-wee, watch out.
Yeah.
But right now, the how is you get to be part of working the NBA All-Star, and you've been working for a year or more on preparing and all this coming in. And it's just I like to say that's just keep going, Chelsey.
Yes.
Like it's like a little taste, right?
Yeah.
It's not the WNBA yet, All-Star, but it's a taste.
Yeah.
All-Star Chelsey. Okay. So you tear your ACL. What happened after that? So you rehab, you come back from your ACL. What was next?
So I'm rehabbing. Spent that whole year. I was doing a marketing agreement with the Indiana Fever. And through that, I have gotten to be out in the community and just see options of this is what we have in Indiana. Indiana is basketball, but it is a lot more. It's diversity. It is showing like a one team experience. And through that, I sit out in preparing for the next season, which is 2022 season. Just the talk from there, I get suspended because I'm not completely well enough to go for training camp. So being suspended, and the week before that, I was able to go to the White House and represent the WNBA in the Easter egg hunt. And
Did you win?
well, I was there on a just a community engagement, so
Okay.
I got to be with the community. And
So you weren't actually like finding the Easter egg? I didn't know.
I
Okay.
missed out on that part, but I got to meet the president, Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris, and
She's a hoop fan?
yes,
Yeah, big time.
yes, and that from there it was a great experience just to be able to represent the WNBA as a whole, and that they chose me. So just from the jump of being drafted, it's always been my character that has kept me around, and I'm so thankful to God and for my parents that have kind of raised me to be the person that I am today. But from 2022, I was suspended. I knew to keep on working out because there was more in store for me. I was working with Courtney and Jordan, but I also did an internship at Riley Children's Hospital just because I wanted to do something. And from there, I shadowed the maternity tower. I got to see live deliveries. I got to see surgeries. And it was a great experience, but I knew basketball was calling my name. So getting cleared in August, I signed a contract to play in Italy at the end of September. So I was getting ready to leave in September off of 2-week notice.
Yeah, and that's Ben. You got to stay ready because I know how these things work and a lot of people don't understand. Like overseas, like you might get a call and say, "Hey, we need you here tomorrow," or 2 weeks you got to be here. And it's like, oh, yeah, all right, let's go.
Yeah, and never been overseas in my life. In college, I didn't get the chance to travel abroad just because of the timing of COVID and everything. So this is my first time overseas. Went over there. It was a great experience. I played and I knew this is my time to shine and to prove that I can still play off of injury. And so I earned a starting spot and I averaged about 13 a game and was playing really good. I felt like I was getting in good shape to leading up until the next following year because WNBA at the end goal was my goal.
Yep.
In January, I know it's coming towards contract time, and I face another injury. Adversity,
This is number 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Injury number 3. Coming out of college, I was dealing with a hip injury, and then healed from that. Then I went from ACL injury, and then I came from that to a foot injury. All these things were on the same side of my body, and so I was like, another adversity. Where do I go from here? But I knew that I had time to be ready for training camp if I healed correctly. And I'm very trusting when it comes to people, and I just think everybody has a good heart. And so I stayed in Italy, and unfortunately I wasn't being taken care of, so I signed with the Fever for this next season, and then I came back to work with the trainers there, and just wasn't well enough, and so I get waived again. Sit out
wave
another
number
year.
2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wave number 2. Sit out again. At this point, I'm at the lowest of my just mentality of where, like, this is another time of waiting. How long am I supposed to wait? You know, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? So I literally just call out to God and was like, Lord, like, what do you see in my life? And it just, again, his whispers, like, we have this job opportunity for you. If you want it, you can take it. You can interview for it. And I decided to be an intern for the NBA All-Star.
So you decide to take an internship as an NBA All-Star. So you're coming off of being in Italy, the foot injury, not re-signing with the Fever so that you can work with their staff and their training, and just to be back in Indy. So, like, that has to be a humbling situation, right? That you've been on this journey. Okay, now I'm taking that. Like, what is the job as an NBA intern, NBA All-Star intern? Tell us that. I know a little bit, but tell our listeners.
Well, that was my first job. So an intern basically works and assists with everyone else in the job.
Okay.
And so at the time, it required me maybe going to make prints and just hanging around meetings. I really didn't have a voice, but it was kind of setting me up for this job that I'm in right now.
Okay. So,
Yeah, and from there, I knew that not only basketball was keeping me in Indy, because I had a choice. I could go back home, you know, but I feel like opportunity was here for me in Indy. A community was here for me in Indy, and I just had a really good church home that I wanted to stay connected to, and the people there, and I knew I had trainers. So I stayed in the internship and while working out, and I was like, if I'm working 20 hours a week, I can put the other 20 hours or so into basketball. So it just all aligned well. I can't say that the pay was great, but it was just, God is a provider. So I knew that I was supposed to be here, and from there I got great experience working alongside Mel Raines and Diana Boyce, who are the top of the Pacer Sport and Entertainment community, and it's been a great experience. So from May till August, I was an intern, and then from there, everybody's asking, what do you do next? Do you go overseas? And I just felt like going overseas for me wasn't the right opportunity right now. Yes, I need playing experience and for other teams to see me play, but the biggest thing for me was to heal and to be healthy. And so I don't feel like I've gotten a lot of rest, but it's been rest for me mentally to kind of get back to my ground and to be strong in my mind and in my physicality, just to be strong. So I've had people, I've been working with Jordan heavily through the summer and into the fall, and I've just enjoyed the experience. So in the start of August, I wanted to stay on with All-Star because I just felt like it was perfect timing, you know?
Oh, yeah.
February is a big time for free agency in the WNBA, and then February is the NBA All-Star. And so I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. So I accepted the position as senior assistant in the All-Star community. And so now I manage over volunteers. I am over the promotions committee, and I also help with the downtown activations with All-Star. And man, Indiana does do it big in all areas.
Yes.
So this has been a great experience, but it's also been taxing because what is the main goal is to earn a contract. And so I've just been trying to do as much as I can and to be in shape.
There's a couple different exits I want to take and go off and talk about here. The first one's going to be lighthearted. So you've been working so hard on the NBA All-Star Weekend coming up in Indy next weekend. A lot of our listeners are around the Indy area or in Indiana. What experiences, so besides going to the game, like what's going on that our listeners can go, take their kids and go get involved in?
Well, the NBA, outside of it, they have the marquee events like the All-Star Game and the Saturday night dunk contest and the three-point contest and NBA crossover, which is like a fan engagement that the NBA has. But as a host committee, we are having downtown things that we can do freely. So if you feel like you can't afford the game, you should just be downtown in general because it's going to be walkable. As you know, the Super Bowl was here in 2012, I believe. Just from the feedback that I've gotten from local people here is that Indiana did it big. And so just to be in the area, we're going to have multiple arts and culture experiences, and we're going to have just fan engagements with basketball. So I can't really say too much, but I get it.
Just be there.
Downtown.
Be downtown. You guys heard it. Be
February
downtown.
16th through the 18th.
February 16th through the 18th, 2024. NBA All-Star Weekend coming to Indy. Be there. All right. Next exit, okay, I want to go down is you talked about how this summer that you were really, in the grind, and I know the grind that you and Jordan were on of getting in the gym, and shout out Jordan Reed, Bria Goss, Riley Shellhammer was in some of those that, like, you guys were getting after it.
Yeah.
And that group is so competitive and such a great group to train. But you're doing this, you have a job you have to go to. So, like, tell our listeners, what time did you have to wake up? Like, what was that? What did that look like to make that happen? What did that take on your end?
Well, most days that I was meeting Jordan, it was way on the north side, which is about 50 minutes from me. And so my mom came and visited me the first week in September for a week, and that was a blessing in itself. But I was getting up at 4:40 in the morning.
4:40 a.m., y'all. 4:40.
Yeah, so I could drive and meet Jordan at 6 a.m.
Yep,
and then
6 a.m.
The other days I would work with Bria Goss through the week, who was a little bit closer, but she wanted to be at the gym at 5:30 a.m. And I was like, okay, I want to be there because at the end we both have goals that we need to we want to accomplish, and I have to do it before 10 a.m. because that's what time I get to work. And so it was a sacrifice, but I knew that's what it took, and that's what it's taking for me to reach my goal is a sacrifice, and for me to wake up every morning because that's what discipline is.
Preach it.
Yeah.
Rev Chelsey over here.
Yeah.
So you're taking care of the physical things. You're staying in Indy. You have a 9-to-5 job, which has to be hard.
Yes.
You're going into that having a 9-to-5 job. You have these goals. During this time, like what have you done how do you take care of your mind?
Compete Training Academy. That's if you want to do mental coaching and mentality, you want to train your mind, get with Compete Training Academy. They will get you right. But I've been working on my mind with them, and I think you guys were basically the footprint for me. Just this is the way, and this is where you need to be telling yourself is that you are an all-star. And so I've been diving into that and also diving into the Word, and God has given me the community that I needed because in this area, in this season in my life, in the waiting season, I felt so alone. Because people's journeys are different, and a lot of my professional friends in the WNBA, like, they're getting what they wanted and prayed for, and I've been waiting on, this is now year 2, a full year, 2 years that I've been waiting on a contract and to get past training camp and to play a full season. And I've just been encouraged that it's things that I needed to do to build my character and not only love adversity, but to be able to handle that and also give back to people and to be a light. My friend pointed it out a few weeks ago. It's like, in the churches you have those stained glasses, and that's what we're called to be, is that stained glass, and God is supposed to shine his light through. And that's what I want to do. It's the main objective is to uplift the kingdom. And through that, I knew that starting from college that I had my relationship with God had kind of separated a little bit. And during those trying seasons, I brought my relationship back to Christ, and I'm thankful for you guys for kind of helping me set me on the right path with that, and to not be shaken.
Preach it. So where has God really, drawn you to in his scriptures? And we say that God's word is alive and active, and it penetrates into bone and marrow. Like, it changes us.
Yeah.
It's transforming it. Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, then you will be able to know what God's will is. So, even when you can't see it, if you can get your mind and you can get really clear, and I've said this over and over on this podcast, on what, you don't have to worry about the how. Yeah. But where during this time have you been encouraged in his scriptures, or has there been a synchronicity of a theme or a word, or that's happened?
Well, I just kind of continually say the story of Abraham when he was sacrificing his son up on the mountain, and he named it Jehovah Jireh, God as a provider, because God has really provided for me in the last 3 years. I've been able to financially live here on mostly my savings because of the internship pay and what have you, but I consider my child being basketball. I'm taking this up to God, and either he can say no more, but I know God has promised me this dream. This is my gift to play basketball, and it's basically been surrender. Do you want to let go of control of this is how you get to your dream, or do you want to give it to God, And I've kind of been at peace with letting it go, and it will be whatever it is. But through the waiting season, you have to work.
Stay ready.
Yeah, and so it's been a grind for sure. I've been putting my head down for a long time working, and I can just feel God just kind of, I hear you, and I'm really interested to see what this next month comes. Can't say it's always been easy, because the devil will always put little whispers in your ear, as well as do you know what you're doing? Is this the plan that you're gonna have? Is this the plan that God has put for you? Or it's always anxiety, because we're just a few weeks away. So much pressure when people ask you, what are you doing? What's your plan? I don't know my plan. I'm just walking on faith right now. But I'm encouraged and I'm ready.
And that is faith, is being confident in things we don't yet see.
Yeah.
And I think that whole surrendering is such a beautiful word to use. And in mindset world, we talk about this detachment. You gotta detach from the outcome. We know the what for you is you're balling out in the W.
Yeah.
I've seen it over and over in mental exercises. You have too. And it's during that time of in the physical, it hasn't been there yet. There's been glimpses of it, right? It's you're there, and you've seen it, but it's really that testing of the faith and God. Are you going to obey? Or are you going to stay? And that's where so many people, whether it's, and it doesn't have to just be basketball, but when you have this, you're so clear on what your what is. But when you don't see it, people give up. And you haven't. You have not. And it's been 2 years going on 3?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a journey. You got 2 years going on 3 years that you've been on this, and you're sitting here with a smile on your face. And I know that it always hasn't been, there's been hard times. We've walked through them. But you are so clear on your what. and you have continually you've been put in situations where you have to detach from that.
Right.
And a lesson will present itself over and over again until you learn your lesson.
Exactly.
It'll continually repeat itself, and you learn the lesson. And you can't. Jordan and I always say you can't skip steps.
Nope.
You can't skip steps. Would you if you draw this out, it would have looked a different way? Yeah. But the experiences, the perspectives, being watching in the maternity, ward at Riley Children's Hospital, going over to Italy, being around Tamika Catchings in the Fever organization, being around for the Pacers Sports Entertainment and being a part of this NBA All-Star, like all the perspectives that you have, game changer.
Yeah.
You see life so differently than if you were just straight into the W.
Right.
And that is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
It really is. You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, it's my story that I can tell. And I think what kind of drives me is my family back home. So I'm 7 hours away. I'm in a small town called Middleton, Tennessee, and it's very country, a lot like where you guys are from in Marion.
That's why we connect.
Yeah.
Soul connection.
Yes. So every time I go home, it's just like a boost of just confidence and a refresher that my family believes in me so much. And it's not even just basketball. It's whatever I do. They always say that whatever you're doing, we're going to support it. And they always pray for me. So their prayers has pushed me to where I am today. And I'm literally so thankful for it. And my grandma always reminds me that you always said when you were a child that you could do more than one thing. And I've proven that I can do definitely more than one thing. Basketball is not my only value. And it's taken 3 years for me to see that.
What a beautiful lesson to learn at. How old are you now?
I'm 24.
24 years old,
Kobe
okay.
year.
Kobe year.
Yeah.
Kobe year. When's your birthday?
June 7th.
In June, okay. So during the W season this year, you're coming on 25, okay. The lessons, and for everybody who's listening who has been through their 20s, or you maybe are in your 20s, the lessons that you have learned, Chelsey, from 21 to 24, you know what your what is. Don't worry about the how. But I'm telling you, you have jumped timelines. Sometimes it takes people into their, like we work with clients, they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they haven't detached from this identity that they, like all these things. Like you did it during the ages of 21 to 24. Like, okay, I'm like when you're in it, you're in it, and it's like, what is going on? But you did it.
Yeah.
Okay, so heading into we're in Kobe year. Heading into my shout out to my dad. Always wants to call however old you are by like coin. So like you're gonna be a quarter. You're gonna be a quarter. Okay, so you're gonna be 25 years old. Been on this earth for a quarter of a century. I want you to on live. Okay, speak it into existence. What is your what? Like what do you see for yourself moving forward? Don't hold back on us. Like Caitlin Clark is the buzz right now in women's basketball, right? She has been. She's been doing her thing, and I like to go back and like listen to previous interviews of players. Right. And like when she was, I think it was her freshman year, I was watching an interview. Like she spoke, she said, "We're gonna go to a Final Four." Yeah. At the time, like people were like, "Iowa women's basketball." Like I think they'd been in the Final Four maybe in the '90s, but like going to the Final Four, like it wasn't nobody, but like she had such a belief, and she spoke it. And what happened last year? Like they're at the Final Four.
Yeah.
Like, but she said it in an interview way before that happened. So it comes from this like you gotta know what. So I know we talked about All-Star Chelsea, but like what? Just put it out there. I'm setting you up on this one. Put it out there.
Not so much for me, but whatever team, I'm going to be able to help them in the playoffs. We're going to be playoff contenders, and the rest will speak for itself. But through like the playoffs and that build up, I'm going to be a respected player in the WNBA, no matter what team it is for. So I can just be confident in that I have put the right people in my circle and on my team that can get me there. So it's being able to be not only be a vessel, but be flexible and be able to not be content with where I am, but to be uncomfortable. You know, because if you're uncomfortable, you're growing.
So that's the what. So as we finish, we are big on night routine, morning routine. Share with her, like, what's your night routine, what's your morning routine to get you to this what?
Well, I'll start mornings because for me, the mornings are the most important because that's how you start your day. And so I do 10 minutes of reading the Bible. I've been reading the Bible from start to finish. This is going on year 2. And I'm not in any rush. I'm not on anybody's plan. I want to read and digest for myself. And so I've been reading for 10 minutes or however long I feel like I should read. But for me, if I don't read the Bible that day, I'm not getting on social media or anything else.
Yeah, at church, just a little timeout with that. There's a difference between reading the Bible and studying the Bible and like letting that penetrate. And so you're studying the Bible.
Yes.
Like you study it and you're not on any time schedule because you're studying the word. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a different age now. Of when I was younger, I'm like, I can't even pronounce these people's names. It's King James Version. But now that I've learned that there's other versions that you can read. And so starting my morning with reading the Bible, and then I would write a note or a devotion for myself. This is what I got out of it. Start the morning, and then I say a prayer. Thank you, Lord, for another opportunity. And I get up and I work out. Most of the times I try to be at the gym at 7 a.m. And do my own court workout at 8 or shoot on the gun from 7 to 8 and go lift weights. I've been heavy on gains this past season. And I can see the progress. Like, when I go home, my family is always my confident booster. So when I go home, they're like, you look built. And I'm like, thank you. I love that. I love that for me. And so I'm in the weight room, and then 10 o'clock, I clock in. So in between the time, I try to listen to a podcast or something to kind of get my mind to kind of shift. Yeah.
Do you have certain podcasts, like, do you like... Like I have, a couple I rotate through. Do you have a couple you rotate through?
So I love listening to Jackie Hill Perry and the Perrys, their podcast. I listen to Social Dallas with Robert Madu. Or I listen to Life in Perspective with Brenda Palmer. Those are all Christ faith-centered podcasts, but it just gets me in the right mentality because there are different vibes coming from working out and being in kind of like a team basketball lifestyle and then going into the office and dealing with different personalities and the pressure of work itself. And so that's been stressful. And I've been clocking like my stress levels and I have an Oura ring, so it kind of tells me like you're stressed, and I'm like, I feel it, thanks. So I'm working, and most days I start at 10 a.m. and then if we have a Pacer game, I don't get home till after 9 or 10. And so I'm just heavy into work, and then I try to give myself a break around lunchtime. I play a euchre game on my phone. And so,
shout out, Chelsey learned some euchre. You guys, you had you tell me you had this championship going on at work. You and another guy, you guys didn't even know euchre. You guys learned it real quick. You guys went from the last seed and came back and won the championship. Euchre champ.
Yes. And so, unfortunately, we named it like last year FDU and Purdue game. So, unfortunately, I know y'all are Purdue fans.
So many mindset lessons to come out of that game. So
and so
that's why you play the game.
I love being the underdog, and that's kind of been my story. It's just coming from a small town, coming from a mid-major, and now in the professional world, and coming from a free agent, like being bounced from waived, unwaived. So I love being an underdog, and I try to be competitive in whatever I do and give 100%. And so learned how to play euchre in a month and entered myself in this tournament, and now we're euchre champions at Pacer Sporting Entertainment. So I can pride myself on that. I've also received 2 Elevate Awards during my time with Pacer Sporting Entertainment. And so through the work life, I come home. I try to talk to my family whenever I can. My dad and stepmom, or my mom and stepdad, they either call me. They alternate. They're always calling me just to check on me. And my brothers are checking on me because they know I'm so far away. And so just hearing family and people just... I value family a lot because this recent past year, I lost my grandmother in August. And so I just don't take those moments for granted. Talking to my family, and then I try to wind down by 8 and 9 o'clock and in the bed by 10 for sure when I can.
Absolutely. I know we have some younger listeners that are listening, or even people who aspire to college, basketball players that are aspiring to play in the W. So when you go into a workout, so this is a question I get a lot from people. They're like, what is a professional basketball workout? Like, what do they do? What are they doing? So like, I always like tell them, like, they're doing the same thing that y'all are doing. They're doing the fundamentals. Yeah. It's just, there's nothing that changed. It's just the level of focus and intensity that they're going at it is just different. Yeah. Like, it's just a different level. But like, what is your... You explain it, coming from the voice of somebody who's in the W. Like, what is your workout look like if you're going to the gym to get a workout in?
You hit it on the nail. Is fundamentals, and for me, it's sharpening up the things that I'm really good at, but also focusing on ball handling and coming off screens, and a little bit of extra work I've been working on is getting better laterally. So I've been working with a strength coach who has been kind of pushing me to get better at my foot speed so I can be a better defender. Because with not only being better at your ball handling skills, you just need to be a better defender because you have to guard those guards. So it's been a grind. I still do micing every morning, so if you think you're getting rid of that,
I just spoke to the number 1 high school girls basketball team in Indiana, and I told them I told them a story about mic and drill with the Fever. Like, they did it for like 45 minutes because they had to be perfect for 30 seconds. Like, everybody on the team, and like people kept like hitting the bottom in like 28 seconds. I was like, they're doing mic and drill. Yeah, and like
it's the same, and I think. Probably the biggest separation between professional and collegiate is change of speed. And it's not so necessarily like the whole game itself. It's like, if I'm coming off a screen, I'm going to be slow for a moment, then I'm going to speed up. And so recognizing when to do that for me has been the biggest challenge, because I've been a pace. Like, if I'm running a 2 mile, I'm going to pace myself and be at this same level. And to learn that I need to be here, and it's been a challenge, but that's the professional world, and that's what separates you as a player.
Change of speed, yes. Well, Chelsey, thank you. I know that last night you went to bed super early. I was like texting about the podcast. It was like 7 something. Like, yo, I'm going to bed. I'll see you guys in the morning. Thank you for waking up early to be up here. I know you and JD are about to go get some work in the barn. And we're going to all meet up together and get some good grub together, probably at the Sweetser Cafe.
Let's go.
The kids will be there. So thank you. And the one thing that I want to leave y'all with is Chelsey has always carried herself as a professional. No matter what it was, that's what I'm taking away from this. As a professional, in whether it's basketball, whether it's at Riley, whether it's with Pacer Sports Entertainment, whether it's as a euchre player, like, she's carrying herself as a professional. Even when it hasn't shown itself completely, and it's that she's been able to complete a full season of W, but I want you guys to join with us in, we believe in the power of prayer. Like, pray for Chelsey. Like, this is the year.
Thanks.
This is the year. 2024, baby. This is the year. Be praying for Chelsey. Be praying for her health. Be praying for just to surround her with this positive, that she can keep going, stay rooted in the Word, and it's go time. So y'all, be ready. Chelsey Perry, you guys heard it. You guys heard it straight from her mouth. Let's go compete and treat yourself as a professional, no matter what it is.
Let's go.